Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto Was in High School, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. HN. Alright, Neji said as he walked with her back through the woods. The next day in the limo. Okay, guys, don't jump on me when I tell you this. Tenten said as she looked at the three faces that were looking intently at her. Okay, just tell us already. Ino exclaimed. Alright, Tenten said. Neji asked me to the homecoming. She waited for her friend's reaction. And, Ino asked. And I said yes, Tenten said. I knew it, Ino squealed. I'm really happy for you, Tenten. Hinata said. That's awesome, Sakura exclaimed, hiding her sinking feeling about being the only one without a date. Yay, I know. I'm really excited about it, Tenten said happily. You're excited about a date? This is a first, Ino said with a laugh. You must really like him. Yay, I do, Tenten said with a small blush. It's just, Tenten started. Just what? Hinata asked her friend. Well, I really like him, but what if he sees me as just a good friend to go to the dance with, or he doesn't like me as much as I like him, Tenten said. It's stupid, I know, but I can't help but worry. Tenten, you really don't need to worry. Hinata said. I went over there the other day and I heard him talking to someone about you. I don't know who it was because he was on the phone, but he was saying a lot of stuff that leads me to believe he's crazy about you, even if he doesn't show it. You know how he is. He doesn't show his emotions very often. Really, Hinata? Tenten asked, totally shocked and happy at the same time. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. You should. It isn't obvious that he likes you, true, but come on Tenten. Ino said. What do you mean, come on? Tenten asked her friend. Really, Tenten? He wouldn't be spending all of that time with you if he didn't like you. Guys just don't do that. Ino said as she rolled her eyes. Says you. Tenten said. She'd had plenty of just guy friends in the past. Okay, so that Mark guy had a crush on her, but still, she'd had plenty of other guy friends. Sakura, what do you think? Hinata asked her friend, who looked like she was staring off into space. Huh, Sakura said as she snapped out of her thoughts. What were we talking about again? You weren't even paying attention. Tenten asked, a little annoyed with her friend. Were you thinking of Sasuke? Ino asked teasingly. No, actually, I was thinking of giving out all of these. Sakura said, holding up a stack of the notes that she needed to shove into guys' lockers. Are those party invitations? Ino asked, curious. No, they're rejection letters, Sakura said with a sigh. You got that many invites to the dance? Hinata asked, a little wide-eyed. No, Sakura said. There were more. These are just the ones I have to slip into lockers. Wow, that's more than last year. Ino said. Aren't you going to accept any of them? Tenten asked her friend. If they can't ask me to my face, then I'm not going with them. Sakura said decidedly. Okay then, Ino said as she opened up the door, realizing that they had arrived at school. I'll see you guys at lunch, Sakura said as she went off to start shoving notes into lockers before classes started. At lunch, finally, Sakura, Ino said as she rolled her eyes. Her friend had just shown up at the table after making a quick stop to shove some more rejection notes in some guys' lockers. And there was only 10 minutes of lunch left. Shows you how quick that was. Sorry, guys, Sakura said as she sat down and pulled out a sandwich from her bag. She had obviously realized she wasn't going to make the lunch line today. I ran into some of the guys when I went and put the notes in their lockers. What guys? Naruto asked, curious. And what notes? Oh, just some rejection notes replying to ones stuck in my locker, Sakura said nonchalantly. Rejection notes? Naruto asked. You replied to all of your notes. Sasuke didn't even read his. At this Naruto turned and grinned at his friend. Isn't that right? HN. Sasuke replied. Well, I was brought up being told by my mother that you always respond to any note that someone writes you, Sakura said as she finished off her sandwich. Well, Sasuke sure wasn't taught that. Naruto said, as he started laughing. Sakura said as she stood up and prepared to leave. You're leaving already? Tenten asked her friend. Tenten was sitting next to Neji, just as Hinata and Ino were sitting next to Naruto and Shikamaru. Yay, I have some more stuff to finish before class starts. Sakura said. More notes? Ino asked. She'd thought that had been the last of them. Checking my locker for more notes. Sakura said. Oh, well, I guess we'll see you in class, then. Hinata said. Yay, bye. Tenten said. See ya, forehead. Ino said as she turned back to face Tenten and started talking to her animatedly. What Sakura didn't notice as she left was Ino texting Hinata and Tenten under the table. Ino, you guys thinking what I'm thinking? Hinata and Tenten, what? Ino, send Sasuke after her. You tell Sasuke you forgot to give Sakura some notes FRM class, then ask him to give them to her since you have to go TLK to a teacher, K. Tenten, why do I always have to be the person to actually get involved? Ino, do you think Hinata's going to do it? Hinata and Tenten, number. Ino, see my point. Tenten, I guess. Tenten pulled a piece of paper out of her notebook, and quickly scribbled something on it. She signed all of the names, putting Ino's first and her own last. Sasuke, could you do me a favor? Tenten asked as she turned towards him. What? Sasuke asked. Can you go give this to Sakura? Tenten asked. I forgot to and I have to go meet with a teacher before classes start. Why can't they? Sasuke asked, motioning towards Ino and Hinata. Because, they have to come with me, right girls? Tenten said quickly. Hinata nodded her head as Ino said, right. They both stood up to leave as Tenten handed the note to Sasuke. Thanks so much, Sasuke. Tenten said as the three girls quickly made their way across the large cafeteria. Thanks so much, Sasuke. Tenten said as the three girls quickly made their way across the large cafeteria. Sasuke said, to no one in particular. Looks like they want you to follow Sakura. Neji said with a slight smirk. No, Neji. They want him to go give the note to Sakura. Naruto said as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. And the fact that I just watched Tenten write down the note after reading a text message. Neji asked. She was probably texting Sakura. Naruto said. Neji sighed. Really? What were Hinata and Ino looking at under the table then? He's right, Naruto. This is one of the crazy schemes. Shikamaru said in a lazy drawl. Sasuke stood up and shoved his things into his backpack. You're actually going to bother to go? Shikamaru asked him. Yay. Sasuke said as he too left the table, making his way across the cafeteria. Once he exited the room, he started off towards Sakura's locker. With Sakura, I can't believe there's more of them. Sakura groaned as she shoved Tem into her backpack. She then grabbed a book that she'd need in her last class. But when she turned around, she was face to face with Rock Lee. Oh, hi, Lee. I didn't know that you were there, she said, a little bit taken aback. I'm sorry if I startled you, my beautiful blossom. Lee exclaimed. It's okay, Sakura said. So, why are you here? I have something that I wanted to ask you. Lee exclaimed, striking his nice guy pose. Okay, Sakura said. What is it? Sakura, my beautiful blossom, would you go to the homecoming with me? Lee asked. Go to the homecoming, with Lee? Sakura thought. Well, I guess it wouldn't hurt to go with him. After all, he is the first guy to actually ask me in person. But then, I was really hoping that Sasuke would still ask me. Sakura was about to reply to his question when she heard a voice from behind her. She can't go with you, because she's going with me. Sakura whipped around to find Sasuke standing there. Oh, I'm sorry then, Sakura, for bothering you. Lee said, looking a little bit upset. Sakura glared at Sasuke as Lee started to leave. She then said furiously, oh really? And when was this decided? I certainly don't remember you asking me. Maybe you should have tried that first. Why would you want to go with him? Sasuke asked. You were just going to say no anyways. How do you know that? I do have a mind of my own, you know. Sakura snapped. She turned around to call after Lee. Lee, wait a minute. I'd love to go with you. Lee turned around. Really? But what about Sasuke? I thought he said. Sakura see him off. Sasuke and I were never going together, okay, Lee. Alright, Lee said. Will you walk me to class, Lee? Sakura asked. Of course I will. Lee exclaimed. She turned around and gave one final glare to Sasuke before letting Lee escort her to her next class. Sasuke stood there, a little bit shocked, but his eyes flashing red. When she arrived at the door, she turned to Lee. Thanks, Lee. She smiled at him before she turned around and walked into her English classroom, where her three friends immediately started questioning her. They obviously hadn't seen Lee walk her to the door. So, did anything happen at your locker? Ino asked her friend expectantly. Yes, as a matter of fact, something did. I got a date to homecoming. Sakura said. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm so happy for you. Ino squealed. That's awesome, Sakura. Tenten exclaimed in the same pitch as Ino. Me, too, Sakura. I know how much you like Sasuke. Hinata said. Sakura looked at her friends. I never said my date was Sasuke. Ino and Tenten stopped rejoicing for their friend. Who else would it be? Ino asked. This wasn't good. Rock Lee. Sakura said. What? Ino exclaimed. But what about Sasuke, and the note, and? What note? Sakura asked her friend, not at all happy to learn that Ino had somehow been involved in this. Well, you see, we gave Sasuke a note, and then asked him to take it to you. That way he could ask you to homecoming. But I guess he didn't get there in time, Ino said, trailing off. Oh, he got there in time. In time enough to tell Rock Lee that I couldn't go to the homecoming with him because I was already his date. Sakura said, her emerald eyes flashing at the though. What? Ino asked. She couldn't believe that this had happened. Now Sakura was mad at Sasuke, and was going to the dance with Rock Lee. You heard me, Ino. Sakura said. I can't believe he would do that. As if we were going out or he owns me or something. If he wanted me to go with him, he should have just asked. But no, he had to get all high and mighty. She's going with me, he says. Sakura continued to rant on until the teacher came in. Ino just looked at Tenten and Hinata. Their plan had really messed up. That afternoon, as Sakura climbed into the limo, she saw Sasuke sitting next to where she usually sat. She sat at the other end of the limo, and refused to move when her friends entered behind her, making them fill the gap between them. She faced the opposite way and wouldn't even look at Sasuke. The limo was filled with an eerie silence that no one wanted to break. Well, no one wanted to break it, that is, until Ino turned towards the girl beside her. Sakura, this is ridiculous. You're acting like a 3-year-old. She said. So what if I am? Sakura snapped. I don't care. I have every right to. I don't want to be treated like I'm somebody's property and have no mind of my own. But Sakura, Ino said, this is stupid. It was a misunderstanding is all. Oh, and I guess I was the one who misunderstood everything. Sakura snapped again. Ino sighed, well, if you won't listen to me, then I guess you aren't going to listen to anybody. She turned towards the others in defeat. Sakura was still too angry to be reasoned with at the moment. Luckily, today, Sakura was the first person out of the limo. When she was gone, Ino turned towards Sasuke. Why did you have to go and do that? She asked. HN, was Sasuke's only reply. Inside he was thinking about what a complete idiot he had been, but he wasn't going to admit that to anyone else. He hadn't thought it through. Heck, he had acted like Naruto. Well, you've made things a lot harder for all of us. Ino said. Yay, we have to deal with her tonight. Tenten said. I wish you hadn't have upset her, Sasuke. Hinata said quietly. Why am I such an idiot? Rang in Sasuke's head. Why am I such an idiot? Rang in Sasuke's head. With Sakura. Sakura ran into her room and flopped down on her bed. She buried her face into her pillow as tears leaked out of her eyes. Why did Sasuke have to go and do that? She thought, as her pillow became thoroughly soaked. Just when I thought things were going good, he had to go and be a jerk. And then I had to go and be an idiot. Why do I never think before I act? I mean, Rock Lee is nice and all, but I don't have any intention of becoming a couple with him. Still, there's no way I'm going with Sasuke. He never even asked me, who told him I was going to go with him. It better not have been Ino. She says if she told him that. I can't believe I liked Sasuke. I knew he was a jerk, I knew how he acted, and yet, I let myself fall for him. And now I'm sitting here, beating myself up about it. Life is so unfair. Sakura was still laying there when the phone rang. She just turned her head and looked at it. She waited for the machine to answer it. When it did, she groaned as she heard the voice that came through it. Sakura, listen to me, because I know you're laying there on your bed looking at your phone. You can't tell me that you aren't. You made a really big mistake, and you're acting like a child. You have to get over this. I know that you really like Sasuke, and yes, he made a mistake, but all guys do this. When are you going to come to your senses? Come on, Sakura. You really need to get over this. I'm going to call back later, and I expect you to pick up. Sakura groaned again as she rolled over to face the wall. She ended up laying there for the rest of the night, not budging to answer the phone when Ino called back, not even to go eat dinner. The next day she stayed home from school, telling her mom that she was sick. The truth was, she just didn't want to see Sasuke or Lee during class. But then, moping around wasn't helping much either. The day passed slowly, with Sakura flipping through the TV stations, finding nothing on at all. Why do they never show anything good during the weekdays? Sakura thought. Because, you should be at school right now, so they don't think about teenagers during the day. All your shows come on at night. Inner Sakura said. But what about those of us who are sick? Sakura argued back. You're not really sick, you know that right? Her inner self said. Sakura gave up, and ended up rolling over on her bed and falling asleep. She slept uneasily, and dreamt of school, and her friends, but in her dream, everyone was turning against her. It skipped to the homecoming, and everything was going horribly wrong. She was there, but no one could see her, or hear her. She saw Sasuke dancing with that girl Sarah, and she even saw Lee with another girl. She tried desperately to get her friends' attention, but no one even looked her way. Sakura woke up when her mother came into her room and told her that someone had come to see her. Sakura's heart jumped into her throat, as she thought of who it could be. Sasuke. Maybe he came to apologize. No, it can't be him, what am I thinking? Sakura told herself this, but she couldn't help being disappointed when she saw Lee walk into her room, carrying some papers that she assumed were her homework. Sakura, how are you feeling today? Lee exclaimed more than asked. Good, she replied. That is good. Then you'll be able to go to school tomorrow. Lee said happily. I have brought you your homework so that you might be prepared for classes tomorrow. Thanks, Lee, Sakura said. Could you put them on my desk over there? Yes, I can. And I also wanted to say congratulations, because Guy-sensei gave me your test to give to you. You scored a perfect 100. Lee said as he placed her papers on her desk. Oh, that's great, Sakura said, thinking of her time spent studying for it. Well, Sakura, I will leave you to get some rest so you will look your best for tomorrow's school day. I will see you then. Lee said. Okay, thanks so much for bringing me my homework, Lee. Sakura said as he left. It is my honor, Lee exclaimed. Sakura sighed when he left and got up to go look at the work he had brought her. She hadn't had someone do his for her since she was in 7th grade, and they had had homework buddies who recorded what you missed on a special sheet that said, absent, at the top. Their teacher had thought it was the best way to let them know what they had missed, and even though it was a pain, it did work. Ino had been her homework buddy. She actually kind of missed those days. She'd gone to a small middle school where your class was like your family. Everyone knew everything, since there were only about 30 kids in every grade. Enough time reminiscing. I need to get caught up. Missing school is not fun once you get your homework. Sakura thought as she sat down and started following the directions that Lee had given her. The next day, Sakura went back to school, the guilt of not really being sick getting to her. She went on ignoring Sasuke, and spending time with Lee. All of her friends tried to convince her to forgive Sasuke, but Sakura was adamant. She was not some kind of possession whose decisions were made for her. The next week passed swiftly, along with the following week. Sakura gradually started saying one-word sentences to Sasuke, but that was about all the girls could get her to say. Soon, the night before homecoming was upon them, and the girls found themselves in Ino's bedroom, chattering excitedly about the next day. They had hair appointments, and they were getting their nails done as well. The dresses were hanging in Ino's closet, since they were just going to change where they were. They saw no point in going home and meeting up again later. Soon, the night before homecoming was upon them, and the girls found themselves in Ino's bedroom, chattering excitedly about the next day. They had hair appointments, and they were getting their nails done as well. The dresses were hanging in Ino's closet, since they were just going to change where they were. They saw no point in going home and meeting up again later. So, what time do I need to set the alarm for? Ino asked as she faced her clock. Maybe 9:30. Our appointments are at 10:30 for our nails. Hinata said. Make that 9 o'clock. Sakura said. Well, if you're getting up then, just wake me up at 9:30. I don't need the extra half hour, and I'm not waking up for no reason. Tenten said. Fine. Ino said. It's set for 9 o'clock. Happy, guys? Yes, Sakura said with a sigh. She had won this one for once. If only because Ino knew that she would need the 15 minutes as well. So, Sakura, what's going on with you and Lee? Ino asked as she flipped over to face her friends. We're just friends who are going to homecoming together. Sakura replied. And he thinks? Tenten asked. What do you mean, he thinks? Sakura asked. Sakura, Lee really likes you. I don't think he thinks you guys are going as just friends. Hinata said. What? Sakura asked, astounded. This was the first time she had taken this into consideration. He thinks that you really like him. Ino said. Why would he think that? Sakura asked. Oh, I don't know. Ino said. Maybe because you shot down Sasuke and then said you'd go with him. Sakura just looked at her friends. She hadn't thought about that. All she had thought about was doing the opposite of what Sasuke wanted her to do. And she hadn't thought at all of how Lee might have taken it. But it was too late to change that now. Sakura, you need to think before you act. Tenten said with a sigh. Maybe, but then life wouldn't be any fun. Sakura said as she rolled over, facing away from her friends, the sign that she was going to sleep now. The next morning Ino's alarm went off bright and early, signaling the girls that they needed to get moving. Sakura heard Tenten groan as she rolled over, and she rolled over herself to see who was shutting the alarm off. When she saw Ino standing by the alarm looking shocked, Sakura knew something was wrong. Ino turned towards the girls with an apologetic look on her face. Guys, it's 10 o'clock. I set the wrong time on the alarm. We have 15 minutes to get ready, or we'll miss our appointments. Ino said. What? Sakura shrieked as she got up and practically ran to her bag. She started digging until she pulled out what she was going to wear, and then ran to Ino's bathroom before anyone else could. Tenten just shrugged and crawled over to her suitcase, still not fully awake. She pulled out some cute sweat capris and a hooded short-sleeved shirt, and quickly changed. Wake me up when it's time to go. Tenten said as she crawled back over to her sleeping bag. Ino sighed as she looked up from the drawer she was rummaging through. Tenten was always ready in a snap, that was for sure. Hinata was silently pulling out her outfit, and she stumbled towards the door in her half-asleep state. Hinata, Ino said, and waited until her friend looked at her. You don't have time to wait for Forehead to finish in there. She'll be there for the next 15 minutes. Hinata sighed as she decided that Ino was right, and started changing into her clothes outside the bathroom door, hoping that Sakura would come out soon. Unfortunately, Sakura didn't come out until 15 minutes later exactly, just as Ino had predicted. Okay, let's go, Sakura said as she made her way out the door, flip-flops in hand. The girls just looked at each other. Sakura had actually gotten ready in just 15 minutes. Ino went over and woke Tenten up again, and the girls followed Sakura downstairs, and out the front door to where the limo was waiting. When they got in, they found an impatient-looking Sakura sitting on one of the seats. Do you guys want to make us late? Hurry up, she exclaimed. Ino just rolled her eyes as she sat down. Sakura was a total brat in the morning when she first woke up, and having to rush to get ready probably wasn't helping much. She then spoke to the driver, we have nail appointments in 15 minutes, for it. Yes, miss, the driver said as he listened to Ino's instructions. The girls were there in 10 minutes, when the drive normally would have taken 20. Ino got out of the car, her legs feeling kind of wobbly. She hadn't known her limo could go that fast. But now she did. And now they were right on time for their appointments. The four girls walked into the salon, and Ino walked up to the counter, letting them know that they were here. They were immediately ushered to the back for their appointments. The girls each selected a different polish with a different design. Hinata selected a blue polish that matched the color of the glitter flowers on her dress. She then chose deeper blue stones that would go in the center of each of her fingers, and in a circular shape on her big toes. Sakura selected a crimson that matched her dress perfectly. She chose a white glitter flower pattern to go on her big toes and middle fingers. Tenten chose a beautiful pearly white nail polish, and green rhinestones that matched her dress exactly. She would have them in the center of each of her fingers, and in the shapes of flowers on her big toes. Ino selected a light pink nail polish that matched the glitter, and purple rhinestones that were the same shade as her dress. They'd go on the center of her fingers, and then in a sun shape on her toes. The girls each selected a different polish with a different design. When the girls' nails were done, they headed to the hair salon. Each girl had spent weeks poring over magazines, and uploading their photos to makeover websites to find the perfect hairstyle. Even Tenten. Their appointments were all with different stylists, so they went back at the same time. Tenten's hair was still in buns, but each bun had small hair gems twisted into them, and pieces of hair stuck out from the center of the bun. Ino's hair was down, and it was done in loose curls, with glitter on certain strands. Sakura's hair was half up, and the part that was pulled back was fastened with a diamond-studded clip that she had been given for one of her birthdays. Her hair was done in loose curls, as well. Hinata's hair was straight, with some small curls piled onto the back of her head. It only took around an hour for the stylists to finish up with the girls, so they were soon on their way back to Ino's house. They chatted excitedly the entire way there. I can't believe it, only like 6 hours until homecoming. Ino said, her eyes sparkling. She sighed happily as she said the next part. And it's my first dance with Shikamaru. Same with me and Naruto. Hinata said. Neji and I aren't going out, but still. Tenten said. It's going to be so much fun. Ino exclaimed. Then she turned to Sakura, who was currently staring out the window, lost in her own world. She shook her head at her friend, then turned to Tenten with a glint in her eyes. Well, I heard that Sarah girl is trying to go with Sasuke. She asked him a bunch of times, but he said no. Ino said. She looked out of the corner of her eye to see that Sakura was looking intently at Ino now. Really? Tenten asked. Yup. But she's not giving up. She said she has some big plan for during the dance. Ino said. I wonder what she's planning. Hinata asked. No one knows, but she thinks it's going to work. Ino said. What do you think, Sakura? Sakura turned away from her friend promptly and went, HMPH. Ino just sighed. It was exactly what she had expected. Her friend still liked Sasuke. The girls went home, and shortly left again to go to school, so that they could decorate the gym. They had to be extra careful not to ruin their hair or nails, which was hard, but they figured they could do it, still. Do you have it, Sakura? Ino yelled from across the gym. She was on top of a ladder in the corner, fixing one end of a strand of lights in the corner. Tenten was holding the ladder steady. Almost. Sakura yelled back. She was struggling to fixate her end of the strand of lights in the corner. She too was atop a ladder, with Hinata holding it steady for her. Around the gym, other girls were putting up giant pieces of black paper out to look like the outline of a city. Christmas lights poked through where windows would have been. It had been Sakura's idea to do that, and it looked great. The bleachers had been pulled up, so that they were fitted neatly against the wall, providing the perfect place to put a giant Eiffel Tower in front of. It was made solely out of white wire and twinkle lights, and went really well with the theme. Now, Ino yelled again. She was getting tired of waiting to let go until Sakura was done. Her arms were starting to fall asleep. Now, Sakura exclaimed, grabbing onto the ladder and leaning back to look at her work. She was pretty sure that it wouldn't fall again. The girls had been working for about an hour, and the last touch would be the giant disco ball hanging where the two strands of lights intersected in the middle. There would be a white light shining on it. The disco ball was a tradition at all the school dances. It was always there, no matter what the theme. All they had to do was put it up, and they would be done. Then they could all go home and finish getting ready. Ino dragged her ladder under the center, and Tenten dragged the disco ball over, ready to hand it up to Ino. Ino climbed up the ladder quickly, and held onto the ladder with one hand, as she leaned back and grabbed the disco ball from Tenten. She quickly hooked it onto the center of the two strands, and then climbed down. Well, girls, our work here is done. Now we'll have about 3 hours to get ready before we should leave my house. Let's go, Ino said. The girls had gotten through setup without a hair out of place or a chipped fingernail. All right, Sakura said. She turned to their teacher to let her know that they were leaving. Bye, Kurenai-sensei. We'll see you at the dance. Bye girls. Thanks so much for helping with setup. Kurenai said as she waved to her pupils. No problem, it was fun. Ino said as she walked out the door of the gym and into the lobby, where she stood waiting for her friends. Well, guys, we have to look our best, so let's hurry. The girls just laughed at Ino's impatience as they went out to their friend's limo. 3 hours later, after listening to Ino's entire iPod twice, the girls were finally ready. Sakura had done the girls' makeup, and it looked great, as usual. She'd chosen colors that made their eyes pop, as well as colors that made the best features look outstanding. The girls made their way downstairs to the family room so that they could wait for the guys to come. They had decided to take Naruto's limo to the dance, so they figured they'd have a little bit of time to wait. I can't believe it, it's almost time. Ino squealed. Now how long before they play the first slow song? First things first, Ino. Tenten said with a little laugh. The guys have to get here. I guess you're right, Ino said with a little sigh. They should be here soon. Hinata said. I asked Naruto to get here early. So what time does that mean he'll get here? Sakura asked. Probably about 5 minutes early. I asked him to make it 20 minutes early. But I'm sure he lost something again and had to find it. Hinata said, slightly sighing at her boyfriend's forgetfulness. So if they're picking us up at 6:30, about 6:25. Tenten said. So we have about 10 minutes. Ino said. Just then, to the girls' surprise, they heard the doorbell ring. Make that no minutes, Ino said, jumping up, and walking as fast as she could in her high heels, so that she could get to the door before the maids. She opened it to find 4 boys standing there. They were Naruto, Shikamaru, Neji, and Rock Lee. Sorry, we're about 5 minutes later than Hinata asked. Naruto said apologetically. But are you guys ready to go? Sorry, we're about 5 minutes later than Hinata asked. Naruto said apologetically. But are you guys ready to go? Yay, we are, Ino exclaimed. Well, before we go, Naruto said as he took his hand, which had previously been behind his back, out from behind his back, revealing a beautiful corsage. I got this for you, Hinata. Thank you, Naruto. Hinata exclaimed, somewhat shocked that her boyfriend had even thought about this. She soon realized that he wasn't the only one, though, because Shikamaru, Neji, and even Rock Lee had gotten the dates' corsages as well. The boys escorted the dates out to Naruto's limo, and Naruto even held the door open for them as they got in. When the boys slipped in, they sat down next to their dates. Rock Lee sat down to find Sakura looking down towards one end of the limo. The end where Sasuke was sitting, by himself. Sakura, Lee asked. Huh, Sakura said as she turned to look at him. Oh, sorry, Lee. I just wanted to say that I am very glad that you decided to come with me, and you will not be disappointed with tonight. Lee said, half exclaimed. Thanks, Lee. Sakura said, sounding unsure. It is my honor, Sakura. Lee said. Ino interrupted their conversation. It's almost time for the first dance of the year. Aren't you guys excited? Duh, Ino, Tenten said. This one is going to be 10 times better than last year's homecoming. Sakura said, too. I agree, Hinata said happily. What about you, boy? Ino asked. They just kind of shrugged, so Ino elbowed Shikamaru, causing him to grunt in pain. Yeah, Ino, he said, while everyone else laughed. They had decided to skip going out to dinner, which most couples were going to do, and get to the dance early instead. They didn't want to wait in the long line that formed while teachers checked tickets. It also allowed the girls more time to get ready, which they needed with setup and everything happening earlier that day. So, guys, Ino said, turning to her friends, I heard that this year, Sarah thinks she has homecoming princess in the bag. Impossible, especially since we nominated S. Tenten started, but Ino see her off with a glare. Sakura looked at her friend suspiciously. Nominated who? Sakura asked. That new girl, Hinata said quickly. Yeah, that girl Susan, you know who she is. Ino said quickly. Oh, yeah, I know her. She's in English with me, right? Sakura said. Yeah, she is. Ino said. She might actually prove a threat to Sarah. So Ino, how did you come to know all of this? Sakura asked. Oh, the day that you were absent, we nominated and voted for homecoming prince and princess. She said. Yeah, and Sarah just thought that she was so popular that she had to win, but we'll find out tonight, won't we? Tenten said. The guys were just sitting back and listening to the girls' gossip. They'd gotten quite used to it, and had learned not to put in an opinion unless they were asked for it. The girls would sometimes stop talking, as if they just realized that the guys were hearing all of this. Well, everyone except Lee, that is. I think that Sakura should win. He exclaimed. Lee. Sakura said, I wasn't nominated, I can't win. But, Lee started. She's right, Lee, Ino said while glaring daggers at him, she can't win because she wasn't nominated. She stressed the word wasn't. Lee's eyes opened wide. Oh. I understand. He exclaimed. Understand what? Sakura asked. He's finally understanding how homecoming nominations work. Tenten said. I've been trying to explain it to him. Okay. Sakura said. Yup. Ino said. The girls sat in silence for a few minutes, which was all it took to arrive at the school. The driver got out and opened the door for them, and the four girls stepped out, followed by the dates, then Sasuke, who had been unusually quiet the whole time. Well, to Sakura, anyways. But maybe that was because she was used to him talking in her presence, and now things were kind of back to the way they were at the beginning. The group of teens made their way to the door of the lobby, and stepped inside. There were only a few people in front of them, talking amongst themselves. They showed Kurenai their tickets, and they were allowed to walk past the table. However, they had to wait until 7 exactly before the doors would open, but they would be some of the first ones in. I hope the decorations look good. Sakura said as she bit her bottom lip in frustration. They'd worked hard on them, and she wanted everyone to like them. She didn't want this to be as lame as last year's homecoming. Don't worry, Sakura, Lee exclaimed, I'm sure that everyone will love them. Thanks, Lee, Sakura said as she smiled at him. He really was a sweet guy. She wished that he didn't think of her as more than a friend, though. After this, she wasn't going to become his girlfriend, and she didn't want to hurt him when she told him no the next time he asked. Only 5 more minutes, guys. Ino exclaimed, her blue eyes gleaming with her excitement. Wow, that was quick. Sakura said, coming out of her thoughts. Let's just hope the dance doesn't go by too fast. Ino said. Kurenai walked up to stand in front of them, with Kakashi and Guy on either sides of the door. Anko had taken over checking tickets for the moment. More teachers were already inside, and they would serve as the chaperones for the dance. Welcome, everyone, to the first dance of the year, Konoha High's homecoming, City of Lights. I hope you all have a good time. Kurenai exclaimed as she opened the doors behind her and stepped aside to allow the flood of teenagers to enter the gym. Once most of the crowd that had been waiting at the doors was in, the DJ started playing a familiar song. Ino squealed as she recognized the upbeat music, and turned to her friends. Come on guys, it's the cha-cha slide. Every dance at Konoha High started with the cha-cha slide. No one knows when that tradition started, but it was kept, with most students enjoying it. I'll sit this out, thanks. Shikamaru said in a lazy tone. Oh no you won't, Ino exclaimed as she dragged him up to the front of the gym, near the smoke machine and DJ booth. Naruto practically dragged Hinata, and Neji and Lee just followed the dates, even though the guys didn't really get as into it as the girls did. Oh no you won't, Ino exclaimed as she dragged him up to the front of the gym, near the smoke machine and DJ booth. Naruto practically dragged Hinata, and Neji and Lee just followed the dates, even though the guys didn't really get as into it as the girls did. After the cha-cha slide, the girls moved back to the center of the dance floor, with the guys following them. A new song came on, and the girls all started dancing, singing the song at the top of their lungs. Shikamaru and Naruto stood behind Hinata and Ino, with their arms wrapped tightly around their waists, dancing with them. Neji had his arms loosely around Tenten, and Lee had his loosely around Sakura. Sakura looked around her for an instant. I wonder where Sasuke is, she thought. Forget about him right now, have a good time with Lee. Inner Sakura shouted. Right, Lee, Sakura thought, coming back from her thoughts. She found that she had been singing the lyrics without realizing it, and was somewhat relieved that her friends wouldn't know she had been spacing out again. They'd been on her case for it a lot recently. After about 20 minutes, Sakura saw Kurenai go up to the DJ booth and say something to him. He nodded in response, and after the song ended, he spoke into the microphone. I hope you ladies and gentlemen are having a great time so far tonight, he exclaimed. He waited a few seconds until the shouts of yes and screams subsided. Your teacher would just like me to inform you that the homecoming court will be announced at 10 o'clock sharp. Everyone needs to be in the gym at that time. Now, let's get this party back up, shall we? The music picked back up almost instantly. Guys, I'm going to run to the bathroom really quick, okay? Sakura almost shouted to her friends. They nodded, and Hinata decided to join her. They pushed their way through the crowd, until they came to the empty part of the gym, where it was easier to walk, and to hear. They then proceeded into the lobby, towards the bathroom. I'm already getting worn out, Sakura said as soon as she could hear herself talk. I know, but it's fun, Hinata said. Yeah, it is, Sakura said. I'll bet you can't wait for the slow song that you know is coming up, Sakura said with a gleam in her eye. Well, yes, Hinata said with a blush. The way Ino's been pestering the DJ, there should be one any minute, Sakura said as she reapplied her lip gloss. All she had really wanted to do was get away from Lee for a few minutes. He was even more energetic than Naruto tonight, and she wanted a break from dancing. Besides, her feet were starting to hurt. Yeah, we should probably hurry up, I really don't want to miss it, Hinata said. As the girls were about to walk into the gym again, Sakura stopped her friend. What do you say we ditch our shoes? Sakura said as she undid the straps on her heels and threw the shoes into a corner to be retrieved later. Hinata nodded and followed suit. Pretty soon, that corner would be filled with shoes, and it would be almost impossible to locate theirs. Sakura and Hinata had estimated right, because a few minutes after they had entered the gym and found their friends in the center of everything, a slow song picked up. Naruto pulled Hinata into him. Ino and Shikamaru were dancing the same way, except Ino's head was on his shoulder. Neji held Tenten close, but not as close as the other two couples. And Lee, well, he and Sakura were dancing pretty far apart, although no disappointment showed on his face. He was just happy to be dancing with the girl he thought was the most beautiful flower in all of Konoha. Sasuke was being bugged by half of the girls there, whether they had dates or not, but he turned them all down, one after another. After that, time started to go by quickly, even though most of them wanted the night to last forever. Pretty soon, it was 10 o'clock, and as the song ended, Kurenai's voice came over the sound system. Are you ready to hear your homecoming court for 2007? She asked. There were shouts heard from all over the gym. Things like, let's get started, and, of course, and yay, were heard from various students. This year's freshman princess is, Kurenai said, with a pause as she looked at the students. Amy Yohei. And her prince is Kevin Smith. The crowd clapped and cheered as the prince and princess walked up to the DJ booth to get their sashes and crowns. Congratulations to you two, Kurenai exclaimed. And now, your sophomore prince is, Sasuke Uchiha. The girls all started screaming, jumping up and down, causing Sasuke to get a pissed off look as he walked up. They were all hoping that they would be his princess, especially Sarah. This is exactly what she had planned. With Sasuke on the ballot for prince, there was no way he wouldn't win. And she thought that there was no way that she could lose. But boy was she wrong. And his princess is, Sakura Haruno, Kurenai exclaimed. Sakura looked shocked as her friends congratulated her and shoved her towards the DJ booth. Sakura accepted her sash, and allowed Kurenai to place the tiara on top of her head. She was too stunned to even hear the names of the rest of the court. So, they didn't nominate Susan. They nominated me, Sakura screamed to herself. Just shut up and enjoy it, okay? Inner Sakura shouted at her. I'll try, Sakura said to her inner self. Now, if the homecoming court would take the dance floor, and dance to the next song. Kurenai announced. Congratulations again to everyone on the court. Sasuke walked up to Sakura, and said, May I have this dance? Sakura nodded numbly as the first notes of a moment like this picked up. So, Sakura said. So, how have things been? Sasuke asked her. Good, I guess, Sakura said. That's good, Sasuke said as they moved slightly with the music. Look, Sakura, we need to talk. What are we doing, then? Sakura asked. Look, I know you're mad at me, Sasuke said, but I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. You're sorry, Sakura said, her heart skipping a beat as she felt his arms tighten around her waist. Yeah, I am. For everything. I was a jerk, and an idiot. I really screwed things up, Sasuke said. Yeah, you did, Sakura said, but I didn't help you out any at all. I was too caught up in myself, and I couldn't get over the fact that someone wanted to make my decisions for me. That someone obviously cared that much about me. Well, I did, Sasuke said. Did? Sakura asked. She felt her heart sink like a stone. And still do. But I understand if you don't feel that way, if you never felt that way at all. Sasuke said. You're the first girl to actually treat me like a person, and to take the time to get to know me. All the other girls just see me, then freak out, and they don't even know me. We've been over this before, I think, Sakura said, with a slight smile. I know how it is. So, will you forgive me? Sasuke asked. On one condition, Sakura said. What's that? Sasuke asked. This, Sakura whispered as she leaned up and moved her head closer to Sasuke's. He got the picture, and leaned his head towards hers, and finally their lips met. Sakura, Sasuke said. Yay, Sakura said. Will you be my girlfriend? Sasuke asked. I thought that you'd never ask. Shortly after, though, the song ended. Sasuke and Sakura separated, but not before Sakura could grab her new boyfriend's hand. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.